Hello guys, and yes, we just got this big new cinematic that all of us have just been speculating about, talking about it, and right off the bat, I'm not even gonna pretend that I haven't seen it, but it's actually pretty good. I was surprised that it is not actually a bad cinematic. I kinda like the way it is going. Now, before we get into it, you guys roasted me last time. First, that my, this is messed up, so yeah, you can see that it is a problem. And second, that I was talking way too much during the reaction. Keep in mind, this is like my own reaction. I'm just, like, if you want to see the actual cinematic for the first time, you can literally just type in YouTube, like, Anduin Cinematic, and you're gonna see it. So I'm probably gonna be talking a bit more, like, about what I think about certain shots and what is going on. So I'm not gonna delay you all too much. Let us get into what this video is about, what we have seen, and we have seen some pretty big stuff, and let's see, like, what this cinematic is all about. Now, as I said, I've seen it already, so this is not my first reaction.
Not understand. This one is bound.
I gotta say immediately, since this is like the jailer talking through it, immediately I was like, oh god, again, bad immortals and all that, but I was actually surprised later on. Again, quick, like, this is obviously Arthas reference when he like pushed the Frostmourne to revive Sandragosa.
Fulfill your final purpose. Annihilation. The fate of all who carry my blade.
I didn't see this coming. Alright guys, so this I saw coming. As I was saying, like, you can watch, like, if you think I'm lying, you can see like 15 videos I made. I've obviously said that Varian is going to play some sort of a role in freeing, and then it's not like I'm a genius, like, it was literally obvious. Charlemagne, he's using his father's sword. We got that compass of Varian, so there was obvious foreshadowing that Varian was gonna show up at any moment. However, I didn't see the other thing at all.
This super blade does not belong to darkness. It was forged by valor. And also...
Alright, this I didn't see coming at all. I had no idea that Saurfang was gonna play a role. Makes sense, I mean, he was using Charlemagne, he kinda died while using that sword, so obviously the sword is connecting it. I think they're doing the stuff with, you know, Charlemagne, he has like two... I think, like, they're connecting it all, because Charlemagne was split into two blades, so it was like... split into two variants, then it was like good and bad Anduin, now it is Varian and Saurfang, so obviously they're doing this duality of the blade. However, I didn't see Saurfang helping Anduin, although I gotta say it makes sense. I mean, Anduin was the one that helped him in the rebellion against Sylvanas. He gave him the sword, so he kinda came with the sword to save him, so I gotta say, pretty cool story.
My honor. Its legacy and ours.
Also makes sense with the factions uniting right now. So we got Horde and like the good side of the Horde that is not Sylvanas, and we got Varian. They're splitting the blade, they're freeing us from the jailer. So overall pretty good.
With you. Even here.
Pretty cool. I gotta admit. I like this bit that he's like shattering the blade with Varian Saurfang. This is the good part, though. This is like when action happens. Arthas. Alright, I'm gonna talk about this in a bit. I know some people, you are very angry about this being Arthas and all that, but as I said on Twitter, like when this was released, I think this might just be the best way they've done it with Arthas. I know all of us expected Arthas to have some bigger role, maybe save someone, maybe do this, maybe do that. But honestly, with the way what they have done with a lot of characters in Shadowlands, I'm kind of glad they didn't really touch Arthas. Like, they put him in an important position, like he's here, but I'm glad they didn't really... Like, can you imagine, like, Arthas joining us and then being, like, an entire patch of him leading us and then talking about some random stuff? Like, I feel like they would just completely ruin Arthas. I feel like this way kind of kept the mystery. There's some tragedy there. I think, honestly, with what they have done with the story thus far, this might be the best way they could have done it by now.
Is this all that remains of him?
The last flicker of his scarred spirit.
if you're not certain with the lore, obviously, you know, Jailer tortures everyone, destroys souls, so very often we've seen, like, he literally destroys souls, so the only, like, something remains of it, but it's not really a soul, so that is essentially what happened to Arthas. Apparently, I'm guessing with this story thus far, when Uther threw him, this is also important with Uther as well, when Uther threw him into the maw, he essentially gave him Arthas, and then he pretty much just like tortured him and like extracted the energy and just used him as a weapon. So pretty much that was that crystal. Like he pretty much kept him as a weapon, like destroyed him and then kept him as a weapon.
Consumed in the forges of the jailer.
No crown, no throne, not even a soul left for judgment. I hated you, hunted you, and with each selfish act became you. That is my burden to bear. But your legacy is at an end.
Actually pretty sad.
Arthas Menethil. May the last whisper of your name fade and be forgotten.
Alright guys, I gotta say this was actually pretty good. Now, I know I made a ton of videos, I'm constantly like roasting Blizzard about the writing, it really did. Let's just be honest, like the writing has not been the best in Shadowlands, like by far. It started pretty good, it went really badly, I'm not really liking a lot of the stuff, but I think with this I can really give them credit. I think they did the best they could with what was given to them. So we knew Arthas was thrown in there. Like, do you have a, like, just leave in the comments, do you have like an alternate scenario you would see happening with Arthas? Because I really can't imagine a single scenario that really wouldn't just ruin him as a character. I feel like this way they kept him as a character, but they also, like, they gave him significance. Like, they had significance, but they didn't give him too much, and they didn't have a chance to ruin his character. Also, makes sense. I think, like, the entire story is about Anduin, so Arthas is just there. It is kind of the tragic story of Arthas. Like, honestly, like, you know, father is this over, and then he, literally nothing remains of him. It is actually pretty sad when you think about it, seeing that he was, after all, just a good prince that was drawn to evil by some of his, like, bad sides, but he wasn't really that evil. Like, he wasn't led by evil, so it is pretty tragic overall when you think about it, and as I said, I think they did the best they could with it. I feel like they could have done more with Uther here because, you know, Uther was the one that threw him to the jailer, which is why this remained of him. But other than this, I think they did the best they could. Also, it is pretty cool to introduce Varian. As I said, completely speculated this, completely saw this coming. I would totally believe that Varian would save him. The only thing that I'm kind of wondering is, like, where is Varian and where is Saurfang? Like, where did they come from? Like, either in some Shadowlands realm, where are they coming from? Like, I don't think there is really an explanation in regards to that, so maybe they could later explain that. But do let me know, like, what you guys think about this cinematic. As I said, I'm constantly roasting Blizzard. I've really been talking, like, pretty bad, because honestly it is pretty bad, but I gotta give them credit with what they did with Arthas. I think it is pretty cool. Just, as I said, I can't really see a different scenario, so I'm probably gonna be making some videos on these topics, on what could be done. I'm not really certain. But yeah, you'll probably see that in the upcoming days, because I got some other videos planned as well. So do let me know what you guys think about this cinematic, and like what scenario like would you see later on.